Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and today it's time to pick up from levels 18 to 30 on your alt leveling guide. Now this is going to pick up largely where the 1 to 17 guide left off, so if you haven't seen that, go ahead and give that a watch because all of those concepts are still in play, and now we're going to add more on. So you should definitely still be doing the very same things, talking about like food XP and all that, but now there's going to be a couple other concepts that come into play. The largest one of those is going to be rested. So, I could have gone over that in the 1 to 17 guide. I don't think it takes a big effect there. And then there's a couple of new things that you unlock. So congratulations on hitting 17. Let's dive in. Okay, so we are here and we are on one of my classes that just hit the level 30 range. Let's talk about everything that I had to do up to that point. Now, one of the concepts that honestly could have gone in the 1 to 17 guide is rested XP, and that is anytime this moon is here. There are a lot of common misconceptions about that, like that you have to be in an inn, or you have to be indoors, or anything like that. This is what you're looking for, the moon next to your XP bar that makes your XP bar blue, based on the amount of time you've logged out. Now, that bar, the length of it is based on, it's relative to your total amount of experience per level, not a fixed amount of experience. And what I mean by that is that on like a level 6 class, that bar may only extend 2 levels, and you can burn through that in an hour. And on a level 50 class, it may still extend that kind of 2 levels, and it could take you days to go through. Now, I don't know exactly how that shapes up relative. It feels like the bar is a little less in length the higher the class, but that it is total more experience. And so one of the things if I'm trying to level multiple classes is I will make sure that as much as possible I burn through rested on the higher level class first, unless I just am like right now where it's almost capped because I have not been leveling much lately. Now, with rested out of the way, we are here in town, and the things that we have unlocked from hitting 17 is awesome. The first is going to be your duty roulette. You have unlocked leveling. This is unbelievably important. Doing this every day to get this bonus experience is fantastic. Now, this is Adventure in Need tank, which is just a benefit because I'm on a tank right now. But if I wasn't on a tank, then I just wouldn't get this piece. And this number here is relative to the level you are. So if I jump over to my red mage, you'll see that level goes way, way up. So don't worry about how like 5,000 experience might seem like a lot or might seem like a little. Worry about how it fits into your experience as a whole. So what percentage of a level is that? You want to knock your leveling roulettes out each day. This guide is not about necessarily only the most optimal way to level, because optimal honestly has multiple definitions. You could be talking about total least number of play hours, in which case I feel like roulettes would be way, way up there, or you could talk about least number of days it takes you, in which case we would have to talk about our next part, which is Palace of the Dead. Now, Palace of the Dead can be queued into, but honestly you should do it as a party finder. If you haven't experienced it on your level 70 class, then you can definitely dive into it now. But Palace of the Dead is a zone that you zone into, and it's going to give experience based on how many levels you complete, not what you do in those levels. So one of the problems with doing that through Party Finder is that not everybody is in there for the same reasons. They may want to explore each and every little nook and cranny, and since you're there to complete the zones, that's not necessarily the fastest. So I would recommend using Party Finder for that. If you are getting bored with that and you don't have a roulette for the day, you want to go back into this Dungeons tab and you want to focus on the highest level dungeons you can, which means you may not have all of these unlocked at this point. Some of these are done through side quests in the various zones. I don't think every single dungeon in the game is forced by main storyline. So if you're missing any dungeons, you definitely want to go do the side quest for that. And the best way to look for that is there is a question mark or an exclamation mark that appears on quest guys. I don't think I have any in this zone. Like this. And so this one's red because I'm not a carpenter. But if we switch to carpenter, you'll see this sign here has a plus sign on it. That plus sign means that that's going to unlock some form of a skill or a new feature of the game. You want to make sure, especially as you're leveling an alt class, that if you haven't knocked all those out by now, that you go back and knock out every plus sign as they pop up. Those are things like, different skills, different features of the game, maybe a new dungeon, maybe, and really you want all of it. And that brings us to our next topic, class quests. Now, class quests unlock like every 5 levels, but really you mostly need to do it at least every 10 levels. And so the goal here is to get to level 30 because we are unlocking our jobs. You'll notice I'm now a paladin, and that is because we got this nice little soul crystal here. So the goal here is to get to level 30 and do our class quest and get this crystal that gives us our jobs. Up until that point you are, I guess, technically unemployed. And so the goal of this guide is to get you all the way to 30. And so the class quests are going to make sure that your gear is constantly up to date and that this little eye level number here stays really close to your level, which actually does start to make a difference at this point. I kind of said in the 1 to 17 guide it's not a big deal, but as you get higher into content, if you don't have the right eye level, you're going to die a lot, you're not going to damage things a lot, so it becomes more and more important that you keep this as close as possible to this here. You can get this gear from your Grand Company. You can get this gear from just feeding it off the auction house with your level 70 character, but you can also get a lot of it from class quests, and this does share. So one of the common issues is that people start to say, how do I keep my armory chest from looking full? You can see that this one here is pretty full, and the benefit is that this stuff is starting to share with other classes. So any other class right here that can wear this, it says it's good for all classes. And the lower level you are, the more you're going to see that all classes. But even later on, you're going to start to see where it splits up into Gladiator Marauder, Paladin Warrior, and Dark Knight. And so that's the class and the job, the class and the job, and Dark Knight is always the job. And they all share this piece of gear. So any of them that I have around level 25 and just slightly above can all share this gear. And you can tell that it's on a class and that it's saved to a gear set by this little script here. So don't get rid of anything that has this little piece of paper in the bottom right hand corner because one of your other classes is using it. You'll see I even have things that aren't being used by that because look, I've hit level 30 and I haven't been on this class since. I've got something that I can wear, and I actually have 2 things, and I don't need that. So I can go ahead, and that's when you can get rid of those. I can see if I can convert one. I can't. I think one of those might be from my retainer, and so I'll go ahead and equip that. But rather than go through and piece all that out, because the quality there may have varied, you go to recommended, and it's going to say, no, 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 this was better. So not to get down the rabbit hole of inventory management, that's a whole nother subject. Honestly, 30 to 50 is one of the longest runs. So even if you're using Palace of the Dead optimally, and there's a ton of strategies out there, I think that you guys should maybe see if Brian will get his guide out on it. And you're going to get bored. And so you're doing your roulettes, you're doing your Palace of the Dead, and when you have a chance, you're doing the highest level dungeon available to you. Is there anything else you can do? And the last thing is yes. Assuming your main has unlocked squadrons for you, you can come into your area and you can go do command missions. This is just like doing a dungeon. You have to be the levels that it says here, and you will see that it actually gives you your own guys that'll be synced down to that level if they're higher than that, and you can run it with them. Now there's some tricks to that, and that's a whole nother thing where you have to kind of command them in and out. It gives you skills, and so you have to get them to kind of back out of AoEs or they die. But that's another nice bit of variety because this is, in my opinion, the loneliest set of levels. 1 to 17 is too fast to be lonely. It's painful because of how simple it is, so it can be kind of boring, especially if you have multiple max level characters. But getting to 30 and getting that job unlocked opens a huge amount of the game, and so you want to make sure that you are pushing through that as steadily as possible, and there's not always going to be friends that want to help you with that. So do your challenge logs, do your hunting logs, do any part of Wondrous trails that you can, and just keep at it. So I hope that was helpful. If there's anything that I missed, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Any ideas, tips, guides you have. Palace of the Dead on its own is a huge subject on when to stop. Basically, the higher the level you finish, the more experience you'll have when you finish that level range. So you know, there's a lot of strategies out there on how far you should push before it's not worth it because it gets too hard. So I would definitely say try to push maybe 1 to 50 as just a good starting point, and then get out, and then you can basically just go back in and start back over. But that can be boring, so definitely do your roulettes as many days a week as you can. Definitely do your challenge log, and enjoy it. Slow and steady wins the race here. Make sure that you have your food buff on, your rested buff on, you have your Hall of the Novice item on, anything you have to shorten this range, because this is getting you to 30. And once you unlock that job, that is when you really, in my opinion, kind of start the game and you start the class for real. So get to 30, do your class quests, and I will see you all when you have your jobs in the 31 to 50 guide. So thank you guys so much for watching. Congratulations again on getting 1 to 17. Hopefully you're getting through that on multiple classes. I know if you're an old ARR player, you already have all those classes up for any cross-class skills you need, but many people didn't push this far. And so this is starting to be where it kind of reminds you, oh wow, this is kind of painful. You go back to zones that don't have flying. You go back to areas where you don't have the skills, and you're in dungeons that you've run 100 times by now. So just keep adding variety. You've got the 1 to 17 stuff. You've got now the 18 to 30 stuff. So you're doing fates, you're doing your challenges, you're doing your dailies, and you'll be there before you know it. This has been Chris with Work to Game. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.
Hey Chris, I really like what you do on this channel, and I want to say thanks. How can I do that?
You could try being a patron.
Oh, okay. So tell me more about it.
Well, I think you'd have to click on the link to take you to our Patreon page and see if you want to support it. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to support just me. Okay. You're going to have to support both of us.
So this is kind of like a win-win. So if they support you, they support me, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Do we have like cool, fun rewards? Like, is there anything I get?
They do, and we're constantly looking for ways to change that. So if you support Team Brian, Team Chris, just Team Work to Game, click on that link.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about the rewards too, whether you like them or if we could do something a little bit different.
And by the way, thanks for watching this video.
We really appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.